Hey guys, ultramaximus back with another update on the new Disney Star Wars trilogy that is set to come out in 2015. Just still kind of odd to say that. So the deal has gone down. Disney now owns Lucasfilm and all of its properties. LucasArts, it owns ILM, it owns Lucas Sound, THX, all that. Skywalker Ranch, all that kind of stuff related to Lucasfilm is now owned by Walt Disney Corporation. Well, things have kind of shaken out with that. Kathleen Kennedy is the president of Lucasfilm now, which is fine. I think she is a very good producer. She's worked with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg throughout her career and their careers, and she's been on board with the Indiana Jones projects, Star Wars. She's been in a lot of films that I've enjoyed, Jurassic Park and a lot of films. So I think she's a good choice to head that up, following Lucas's retirement, essentially. We also know that Disney will only own the Star Wars films going forward. So episodes 7 and forward. 20th Century Fox still owns the original 6 films. They own the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and they will continue to own it. So we will not have a complete saga box set at any point in time in the near future, because it'll be the old guard and the new guard. Now, what does that mean for the hope of an original theatrical release, or original theatrical versions of the original trilogy on Blu-ray? Will that happen? Well, now that Lucas has pretty much dissolved himself from Lucasfilm, I don't see why that wouldn't at some point in the future. In fact, I can see Fox saving that for when the Disney films start getting produced and released. That would be a good wave for Fox to ride and to release Blu-ray versions of the original cuts of what the fans have been wanting. I could definitely see that. Is that a guarantee? No, but it would be nice to see. Other questions I have: where does this leave the live-action television series that they had been working on? There's been no mention of that anywhere. Has that been canned? Is it tanked? What's going on with that? I don't know. And the other 2 films, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, are still set to be released in 3D next year. Still waiting for a Blu-ray 3D disc of Phantom Menace. It was supposed to have been out in April of 2012. It's now November 2012, and there's nothing on the horizon. There was rumor that it was going to be part of the new Panasonic 3D glasses combo deal, where kind of like Avatar, for like a year you could only get that movie with the 3D glasses, but nothing's really surfaced on that. They may just wait until all 3 of those are out and release a 3D box set of them. Will we get a 3D release of the original trilogy? I don't know. That's something else that's kind of in the air, and that's still under Fox's domain. And if these prequel trilogy movies continue to do well, because I know Phantom Menace did really well in 3D, then I can definitely see that happening. Again, riding the waves of Disney. In fact, they may try to get that out before the Disney films, maybe in 2014. Yeah, so interesting stuff. So let's talk about, there's been some information released on the upcoming films, episodes 7, episode 8, and episode 9. We know that they are not going to be the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire trilogy, which is unfortunate because we don't get General Thrawn, Admiral Thrawn, and Grand Admiral Thrawn, and he is a fantastic character. If you never read that novel series, Definitely check it out. Timothy Zahn, Zahn, Heir to the Empire trilogy novel. Great stuff, really great stuff. But I can see why they don't want to go there. That's all kind of, the expanded universe and all that kind of good jazz, I suppose. But yeah, they're wanting to go a different direction. So let's talk about that real quick. All right, so we know Episode VII is currently being worked on. It's currently being drafted. In fact, Oscar winner Michael Arndt, A-R-N-D-T, Arnett, I'm not sure how that's pronounced. He is currently writing the script for Episode VII, which will be, of course, the first of the Disney trilogies. Now, he is best known for Toy Story 3 and Little Miss Sunshine. While I have not seen Little Miss Sunshine, I've seen Toy Story 3, and I really do like that story. I think it is the best of the Toy Story films. All of them are spectacular. Of course, Pixar films under the Disney branch, so not surprising that they would go to him. Also kind of ironic that the Pixar writer is working on the new Star Wars films, as Pixar's origins are with Industrial Light and Magic as their computer graphics department, and they first worked on, I think it was Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, on some of the computer effects, digital effects. So that's kind of interesting. He is, I guess he's done a 40 or 50 page treatment, turned it in, and he wants to use the original characters. He wants to go back to Luke, Han, Leia, all of them. I don't know if I like this or not. It depends on, of course, how far it's set away. It's got to be set. If they use those, there's two ways that they want to do this, or they could do this. One, I believe he wants to actually involve the original actors, and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher have purportedly said that they would like to join the cast. TMZ actually talked to Billy D. Williams, one of the guys on TMZ, ran into him at a gas station, and he had asked, if they do make this new Disney trilogy, and they ask him to come back for Lando, would he do it? And Billy D, I guess, said, yeah, sure, I would. So, yeah, in one hand, I like how he's kind of holding back to the original characters. However, they could easily recast it, much like Star Trek got recast and retooled. If they do that, I think it is a mistake. Personally, I would rather them use a completely different set of characters. In the prequel trilogy, we've got a whole group of different characters, save the droids and Obi-Wan and Yoda. Everybody else is pretty much completely new. Of course, Palpatine in there and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, if we're going to start a new trilogy, let's do it differently. Let's get a whole new group of characters. My initial thought was the Zahn trilogy would have been really nice, and replace Luke and Leia in that with the twins, the Skywalker solo twins. But really, I think they should just use a totally different group of characters, start over, something new, something different in that first, and maybe have the only characters that rotate over are the droids, and maybe a cameo by, Chewbacca or somebody here and there, maybe a cameo by Han Solo. That, I think that would be better. But, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Nothing set in stone at this point. But that's kind of the direction that Michael Arndt is kind of wanting to go. So, yeah, kind of interesting. It's set for release of the summer of 2015, I believe. So they got a couple years to work on it and get it going. Once they get the first one going, I'm sure the other two will fall right into place. And information from darkhorizons.com was actually released today about episodes 8 and 9. So let's talk about that. Okay, so episodes 8 and 9, they've picked up 2 writers to pen the scripts. And I'm actually excited about this. One of the writers is Lawrence Kasdan from The Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Fucking awesome. I love that. That really tells me that Disney is truly taking the Star Wars trilogy, the new trilogy, seriously. I think that this shows fans that they are taking it seriously, and they're going back to roots of the fandom by getting one of the writers from quintessentially the best of the Star Wars films. I'm kind of a personal tie between Empire and Return of the Jedi, and it depends on my mood which one I like better, I think. But he's also involved with Raiders of the Lost Ark, probably one of the other greatest trilogies of cinematic history, and one of my personal all-time favorite films that I actually got to see re-released not too long ago in October this year, back at the theaters. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think that's very cool. I have good hopes for that. I think that is going to be very, very good. And the other writer that they picked up is Simon Kinberg. And he wrote Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr., which I have not seen, but everybody seems to really, really dig that. I'm more of a Sherlock BBC series guy. I prefer those. They just look far superior to that one. But a lot of people liked him, so okay. He's also worked on X-Men Days of Future Past, which is the sequel to X-Men First Class, and hopefully that will be pretty good. So they've closed deals to pin the final 2 installments of the new Star Wars trilogy with Disney Pictures. Which ones are they going to do? They haven't determined that yet. They don't know who's going to write 8 or who's going to write 9, or at least they haven't released it yet. Now, Kasdan and Kinberg are also going to be producers of the films, along with Kathleen Kennedy, who will go through, and she's obviously going to be the executive producer of the movies. I believe George Lucas is still going to be a executive consultant to the films. I think that's what his role is going to be, but he will be hands-off. So these will be the first movies in a long time. Well, I mean, he's had hands-on on the other ones. He wrote the stories to the others, but other scriptwriters and other directors worked on the different films for Empire, Jedi, Sith, and Clones. And I gotta say that they were probably some of the better films. Obviously, Empire and Jedi were by far the best of the films. So I'm hoping that different people working on these will really kind of re-energize the franchise and get the fans back on board with the entire franchise and let it breathe. You know, I think it really got to the point of it's grown beyond George Lucas. And, you know, I mean, he made them. They were his films. And I think the prequels, people jumped down his throat so much about it that it hurt him. You know, that's a pride thing. They're his babies. You know, they're an extension of him. You know, his id goes into those things. And, you know, I think that kind of hurt him, but I think with the sale of Disney, you know, he's wanting to retire. He's getting kind of older, and he doesn't want to deal with this stuff anymore. And I think it's grown beyond him. So it's a monster with a life of its own now. And I really do think, personally, that this is going to, like I said, re-energize the franchise and definitely bring fans back on board. So good news coming out today from Disney. I'm on board with these writers. I'm on board with them as producers. I'm on board with Kennedy. I've got pretty positive hopes for it at this point. Yeah, definitely pretty cool. All right, so there we have it. That's the info we got today. You know, again, who knows what's going to happen with that live-action series? How's this going to affect the Clone Wars cartoon that's on Cartoon Network? I think it's going into season, is it 5 this year? are they going to wrap it up? Or are they going to move to the Disney Channel? Are we going to start to see the Clone Wars cartoons on the Disney Channel? Fox has actually been airing them on the weekends here lately, which is kind of cool, the first season stuff. So, who knows where that's going to go? Are we going to get, how's this going to affect Detours, Star Wars Detours, that's supposed to come out, I believe, on Cartoon Network in February or so, sometime in 2013, which is the Robot Chicken crew doing an animated series, parody series of Star Wars, which looks hysterical if you've not seen the trailer for it. How's that going to get affected? Is it going to be affected? The live-action movie, The Clone Wars. So lots of good stuff. We don't know what's going to happen with this yet. Definitely look forward to more stuff from Disney on this as it moves forward. When I get information, I'll let you guys know. Thanks for watching. If you guys got questions or anything, put them down. Leave a comment. Make a video. I think it's a good thing in the long run. I'm really on board with the picks that they've put out today. So again, thanks for watching, and look for more videos in the future.